before we get to the Hurricanes and the Capitals, how do you explain St. Louis giving that series away? Actually, it reminded me a little of Game 1, which I kind of felt like they gifted back to Winnipeg. I thought St. Louis, I thought they took their foot off the gas first after the first period. But, man, when you got a lead with 2 minutes to go, 2-goal lead with 2 minutes to go, you probably should win that.
It was always going to be Jim Montgomery versus Connor Hellebuck in the Who's to Blame Olympics. And I think, oh, God, Montgomery struggled in the past, like how to coach defending in an empty net situation when the other team has a 6-on-5. And just like you pull the goalie early, that's good. You kind of have that belief. I think it's a culmination of this team winning so many games over the regular season that, okay, we know we're not out of it. It's the danger of getting to a Game 7 in a clean slate like that at all. And it's kind of, I feel like after the first period, the Jets became the team that we all knew that they could be, and they just kind of kept going. And that comeback, like, it wasn't on the score sheet, but it started in the second period when they just had more time in their offensive zone. So kind of a culmination of all that.
Oh, there's no doubt it started in the second period. And then Hellebuck erased the second period by being way too deep in his net. I mean, there was nothing that Radek Faksa was going to do beyond shoot that puck. And he just played it. Like, I felt like I was, no offense to Pyotr Kochetkov if he's listening on the way to the airport, I felt like I was watching Pyotr at that point. I'm like, just come out and attack the shot. And you're so good. You're so big. He made himself so small. You brought up Sara Civian, it just triggered the memory when Boston had that record season of 136 points. Yeah. They have a 3-1 series lead. Florida scores the extra attacker goal to force overtime, and they end up losing that series in 7. The people in Boston going, yep, we've seen that before.
Yeah, and now they're looking at the draft lottery, so it's really like they cannot be ones to talk right now. But at the same time, there is a little Jim Montgomery chatter over here. And then Claude Julien was on the bench, too. It's like the ghost of Bruins past. But at the end of the day, that's a team that got hot that was not as good as the Jets. And the Jets, it's just frustrating because I didn't want them to win that way. Like, you want Connor Hellebuck to be the Hart Trophy finalist that he is. And that's just not how it panned out. So you just have no idea what's going to go on in round 2.
All right, real quick to Dallas, Colorado, before we talk about the Canes and the Caps, because you were there when it all began too, and it is all beginning. We're kind of coming full circle. The Mikko Rantanen was pretty sleepy in that series until the second period of game 6 in Colorado, and he came alive. Now they didn't win that game, but he nearly won it for them with 4 points in the second period. Now he decides, you know what? Maybe I'll do my 4-point period in the third period. It was just an insane take over the game from a winger.
Yeah, that's what you get when it's kind of like you don't get these players to be good in the regular season. You get him because he is what he is advertised as, a really, really good playoff performer, and people were right to criticize him for not being that guy in the first few games, and then people can tip their hats at the end. Like, it doesn't have to be either or. The pressure was on because he costs that much money, and he's expected to do that, and he gets to pick his poison about where he ends up. And I guess that was kind of I'll show you to all of us, and you just got to tip your hat or throw your hat to that. And now they're going to get Robertson and Heiskanen back this round because he did exactly what he had to do as kind of not the depth scoring, but as this team needed one more killer instinct guy, and the Avalanche could have really used a killer instinct.
Look, Nathan MacKinnon did everything he possibly could. I don't think it was a great postseason series from Cale Makar, which was a little bit of a surprise. I expected a lot more out of him, and whether it's production or play, I expected more. I thought we got pretty good, Martin Necas. I know a lot of my timeline, Sarah, was filled up with didn't have Jack Drury taking the costly penalty that led to the power play goal. I thought that was. Did you think that was a penalty that had to be called?
Yes, I am pretty generous with my penalty giving out when it comes to the postseason, but that was brutal. You can't do that. You can't have that happen in that situation.
Yeah,
I feel bad. I love the kid, and he's trying hard, but maybe he's not ready for that bright light moment quite yet.
That was a big spot, yeah, right off the face-off, and was it Sagan he dragged down, or it was, yeah, that was too bad. But he goes to the box, and it didn't take Dallas very long at all. But that is when they acquired Rantanen, Dallas became the betting favorites to win the Stanley Cup, and that triggered a Jason Robertson surge. And when you get Heiskanen back and you get Robertson, and they haven't said whether or not they're going to be back for Game 1, but they expect them back at some point during this series. When they get fully operational, when they don't have to have Cody Ceci playing big minutes, because he's been playing big minutes, they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah, 100%. And I was a little down on them. I had the Avs winning the series, and I don't enjoy watching the Stars sometimes because they don't have that killer. I didn't think they had that killer instinct. They proved me wrong in Game 7, and that kind of changes the momentum for them, regardless of if Robertson and Heiskanen come back, and they are. So that's the team to watch now.
Oh, there is no question. Every team's got to get over the hump, and as we've transitioned to Washington, the year before in 2018, Washington knew that they were going to have to get over Sidney Crosby. They did. And they went on to win the Stanley Cup. And now, 2019, all over again, although maybe in slightly different situations, because Washington is the underdog, the betting underdog in the series. And I hate that we put all these things in these terms now, but the Hurricanes are still favored to beat the Capitals. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I was reading an article about exactly this, and the Hurricanes are analytics darlings, as we know, but because it's why the eye test matters, and I know you're going to love that, because it's about the amount of shots taken and the amount of shots suppressed, which is the Hurricanes' simple bread and butter, right? And you saw that absolutely at exponential levels in the first round. And then what they can't figure out, it's so funny, the type of player Ovechkin is, I guess he's so rare that a lot of these models, their brains get broken when it comes to Ovechkin because, he's a big hitter, but he shoots not necessarily a high volume, but in also basically the same exact spot, and it works. I think the Capitals, the reason why this core in the past few years, the shooting percentage when it's high, this is the best team ever because they take their shot selection seriously. They don't always take a million shots, but they take really good ones, and then when those get in, they get kind of hot. And it's that one year, Spencer Carberry's first year, where they had a negative goal differential and they squeaked into the playoffs, and they didn't play well. It was because they're true to themselves in the way the Canes are true to themselves. The Canes are going to be shot heavy, and they're going to suppress your shots. The Capitals really take good shots, and when they're going in, they're one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, they have scored a ton of goals this year, and I know it's easy to say, well, Alex Ovechkin had this great year because he did have a great goal-scoring year, but I think he could have had those goals, and Washington could have been a wild card team. I think the reason Washington is good is because guys like Dylan Strome had career years. Alexei Protas had 30-plus goals, and almost all of them, if not all of them, were at 5-on-5. They got Pierre-Luc Dubois had a resurgent year. To me, that's the reason why Washington is good.
Yeah, and listen, we're saying depth, and you haven't even mentioned Connor McMichael, who has scored some of the biggest round one goals. He was one to watch for me, just seeing how, I don't know, Tom Wilson and the big dog, they're also a big aggressive team, you know what I mean? And they can grind down, and then you get the skill from an emerging Connor McMichael, and it's they're coming at you line after line. Yeah, Dylan Strome had a career year, and just kind of watching him be, obviously we're trading first-line center for first-line center. It's kind of an Aho situation where you have all that. You can contain somebody on a two-way game, and you have a lot of good offense. So there's a lot of scary stuff going on there.
Yeah, I look. I know how fans are. Everybody's terrified that Washington's going to come in, or we're going to go there, and Washington's going to try and physically break Carolina. How do you see this series playing out?
God, it's really one that I have my popcorn out for because I know I was there during 2019. I saw, and there's still so many of the reoccurring players. I think Tom Wilson's got more mature, which is horrible for the Canes. He said after one of the games, I should just shut up sometimes, and I thought that was hilarious. And then he came out in the next game with like a big clean hit and a goal to Dagger. So I think it's so hard to tell with this because it's kind of they both had the most predictable first-round exit opponents, right? Like you expected both of these teams to win, and now here they are trying to both prove in their own ways that they're actually good and actually deserving of Eastern Conference final glory. So it should be one of the best games or one of the best series of the second round. But I'm expecting Svechnikov looks like he's fully healed from his ACL, right? And I think that's been the hold back for a while, for longer than people probably knew until he's suddenly fine. So I'm expecting him. I hope he doesn't get caught up in the drama. I hope everybody sticks to their game, and I know Tom Wilson's going to bring the big guns out. So
yeah, look, it should be fun. Andre, all year long, I can't tell you, Sarah. You know, I talk to Rod before every game, and I probably half of our conversations, Andrei Svechnikov has come up in either got to get him going, or maybe that's what gets him going because it's after a good game, and he's had very few runs where he's played well for more than really 2 games in a row. Mm-hmm. But the way he played as the Devils series wore on, and again, it hasn't been a long run. That series only went 5 games. But that Andre, you saw it. That Andre can be a game changer, and it gives Carolina the bona fide power forward that they traded for in that Mikko Rantanen guy.
Yeah, I'll always believe in that kid. I just think he is just a special person and a special player when he turns it on. But I do think he needs a little bit of, belief from the people around him. And I think it's been a few tough years with injuries and things like that, but maybe that belief that he got, he's one of those guys that, it really is about things like that. So I think maybe that carries over to the second round.
Well, Andre has always had the head coach has always been behind him. He loves the Andre work ethic. He's never going to worry whether or not Andre is ready to go. He's always physically ready to go. It's just, does he have his confidence with him? But the confidence will always come from the head coach. And Andre, plus the way Aho is playing right now, and you got Jarvis and Blake, they've got a chance. But it really is contrast, right? Washington's going to try and pound Carolina through the wall, and the Hurricanes, not that they won't be physical, because you have to, but they're going to try and skate past them. If they can do that, then I look forward to seeing the Now, you picked Toronto initially.
I did.
Do you like Toronto still, or is it going to be Florida?
I think it's more the Panthers' fault than the Leafs' fault, but I really, after watching that first-round series, I think I have to switch it to Panthers just because that last game should terrify anyone because it's they beat the Lightning at their own game. The Lightning really thrive in those kind of high-scoring free-for-alls, and they just ended up demolishing them. And then it was pretty easy, too. They were just unfazed. They just come at you. Tkachuk comes back, and game 1 he has 2 goals. Everybody's a different hero every night. I think that's kind of the biggest thing, the depth. And John Cooper's statement that it was our time, now it's theirs. When he says something like that, I'm a little scared. The bells are ringing. Yeah,
when Cooper said they're not just good, they are exceptional. We forgot, based on the last month of the season when Tkachuk was healing up from 4 Nations and Paul Maurice wasn't even thinking about playing him. We forgot just how good they were. And I picked Tampa to win that series, and then I saw the games being played. I'm like, oh no, Oh, Florida's much better than Tampa.
Okay. To be fair, look at the injury list from Tampa. You had Hedman on a broken foot.
Yeah.
You got Kucherov with issues. It's like everybody who needs to be a big player had some type of issue. So I'll give them that.
All right. Well, you can. Florida's so good. Sara Civian, the Civ Report on Substack, a top 10. Next time, it'll be top 5.
Oh, let's hope. Let's all subscribe, people.
All right, Sarah, take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much. See you later.